Kyle Shanahan didn't expect to be caught off guard, especially not by a question about Shedeur Sanders. But when pressed on why Sanders still hasn't been given a legitimate starting role. Speaking, Shanahan hesitated. That moment of visible discomfort wasn't lost on anyone. His vague response and lack of clear endorsement only fueled speculation that this wasn't just a matter of game planning. It was something deeper.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Sanders, who's shown poise and explosive playmaking under pressure, seems to be triggering nervous energy among the league's most calculated minds. And that tension is starting to raise red flags. Speaking, the hesitancy from Shanahan isn't isolated. Coaches across the league, including Kevin Stefanski, appear unsettled when Sanders' name comes up. Despite his proven ability to extend plays, read defenses, and lead with maturity, Sanders is still being held back by outdated coaching caution. It's becoming more obvious that the problem isn't his readiness. It's the league's unwillingness to trust emerging talent. The longer they wait, the more it looks like fear disguised as strategy. You're watching a press conference. A reporter lobs what should be a basic question. Why not give Shedeur Sanders a start? And then silence, fidgeting, awkward dodges, coaches stammering through vague explanations. You can feel the tension before the answer even lands. Stefanski gives a noncommittal shrug. Shanahan acts like he's barely seen tape. And suddenly you realize these men are nervous, not about the question, about him. For weeks now, fans have been asking, why is Shedeur Sanders not being treated like the future face of the franchise? Why, despite proving himself on the field, does it feel like he's being strategically minimized? Why do two seasoned coaches, Kevin Stefanski and Kyle Shanahan, act so uncomfortable when his name comes up? And when you look at what's actually been happening, the cracks start to show. Let's start with the Browns. Shedeur's performance has been consistent. Mobility? Check. Accuracy? Check. Leadership under pressure? Check. He's been playing like someone who knows what's at stake and is ready to rise. But the coaching staff doesn't seem interested in letting him. Take one game, and you'll see it. Max protection schemes that keep him boxed in, route trees that look like they came out in 1995 playbook, and post-game interviews where he barely gets a mention. No game ball. No public praise. Just conservative play calling and tight-lipped coaches who look like they're more concerned about protecting their reputations than developing a young star. That's not just frustrating, it's telling. Because the issue isn't Shedeur's ability. It's the fear that comes with letting go of control. Coaches like Stefanski and Shanahan operate by the book. They lean into structure, routine, trust the system mentalities. And Shedeur, he breaks that mold. He plays with instinct. He extends plays. He's dynamic. He makes things happen outside the pocket. That kind of unpredictability, it scares old-school coaching styles. And it's written all over their body language. You ask them about their own quarterback rooms, and they're fine. But the moment Shedeur's name enters the chat, the posture stiffens. The language gets careful. They start citing development or protecting young players, or some other euphemism for, we're not ready to let him cook. Meanwhile, other teams are catching on. Across the league, defensive coordinators are game planning against Shedeur even when he might not play. That's not normal. That's what happens when someone is becoming a real threat. The 49ers, especially, are reportedly nervous. Not because he's overrated, but because he's that good. And they know it's only a matter of time before the leash comes off. So then the question becomes, why the hesitation? Why? If Sanders is demonstrating elite-level traits, poise, playmaking, football IQ, do these coaches seem so reluctant to give him a real shot? Why is he constantly being treated like a backup plan rather than the answer? The answer might not be pretty. Some say it's about control. Coaches want quarterbacks they can mold. They want someone who fits their system, not someone who is the system. And Shedeur doesn't just play within the game. He changes it. That scares people who don't want to adapt, who still think that sticking to a conservative game plan is the safest way to win. But that approach, it's not working. Not anymore. Shedeur has outperformed the limited roles he's been handed. He's shown up when it mattered, delivered under pressure, and made plays that other QBs simply couldn't. And yet, he's still getting the "he's not ready yet" treatment. Let's be clear. This isn't about protecting a young quarterback. It's about protecting coaching egos. Because if Sanders goes out there and wins, then it proves the staff's initial hesitation wasn't about readiness. It was about misjudgment. And that misjudgment is starting to look more and more obvious. Fans are noticing. Analysts are raising eyebrows. The football world is starting to ask the same uncomfortable question. What are you so afraid of? You watch Stefanski and Shanahan during interviews, and it's written all over their faces. Stefanski tries to control the narrative, keeping everything low risk, low reward. Shanahan, who built his brand on quarterback development, acts like Shedeur doesn't even register. It's not that they don't see the talent. It's that they don't want to acknowledge it, because doing so means shaking up the depth chart. It means challenging their own game day philosophies. It means change, and that's the last thing they want. But the league is changing anyway. We're watching an evolution of the quarterback position in real time. Mobility, improvisation, extending plays with legs and vision. This is the new standard. And Shedeur? He's already there. He's not a project. He's not a maybe. He's already a threat. Meanwhile, these coaches are dragging their feet, still acting like the safest bet is a vanilla scheme and a QB who stays in the pocket. Spoiler alert, that doesn't win championships anymore. The worst part? It's not just about missed opportunities for Shedeur. It's about what this says to the rest of the locker room. When a player performs like a starter and still gets treated like a long-term project, it sends a message. That talent doesn't matter. That playing safe matters more than playing smart. And that kind of message kills locker room morale. Here's the twist. The opposition sees his value more clearly than his own coaches do. That should never be the case. When opponents are designing defensive schemes around a guy you're treating like a backup, something's wrong. When rival coaches are publicly praising the guy you refuse to start, something's off. When every performance feels like proof that he deserves more, and the coaching staff respond with less. That's not just poor leadership. It's sabotage. Eventually, the pressure builds. The fans start asking questions louder. The media gets bolder. And then, like clockwork, the excuses start rolling in. We're bringing him along at the right pace. It's about protecting his long-term growth. But you can only hide behind that narrative for so long before it cracks. Because the truth is, Shedeur Sanders is ready now. He doesn't need more coddling. He doesn't need more max protection schemes that treat him like a liability. What he needs is a team that believes in him as much as the fans do. A coaching staff that sees what the rest of the league sees. A franchise that understands the opportunity they've got before it's too late. Because let's be honest, if the Browns keep playing safe, someone else won't. Another team is going to give him the freedom to be the player he already is. They're going to design plays around his strengths. They're going to trust him. And when that happens, the teams who held him back, they're going to watch him light up the league from the sidelines and regret everything. And when that day comes, all the cautious press conferences and all the vague excuses won't save them. This is the cost of conservative coaching. You don't just slow down progress. You lose it altogether. Shedeur isn't the problem here. He's the solution. And the longer you wait to let him lead, the more obvious that becomes. If you're watching this shaking your head, you're not alone. Let us know in the comments what you think is really holding Shedeur back. Is it ego, system, or straight-up fear? And if you're tired of seeing young talent wasted on outdated playbooks, hit that like button. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this, and share this video with someone who still thinks Shedeur needs more time. Time's up. Let him play. And just when you think it couldn't get more obvious, the cracks in the coaching facade start to widen. You've got Shedeur standing on the sideline, helmet on, laser focus, ready to go, while the coaching staff dials up yet another conservative game plan that leans on short throws, clock control, and a quarterback rotation that makes zero sense if you're actually trying to win games. It's like watching someone try to use a flip phone in 2025. You got next-gen talent, and they're calling plays like it's still the Brady Belichick era. And here's the real kicker. The moment Shedeur does get the chance, he delivers. He moves the chains. He escapes pressure. He finds targets on broken plays that most QBs don't even see coming. He creates momentum out of thin air. And then what happens? They pull him. They tighten the leash. They throw a screen pass on 3rd and long and act like that's good enough. But it's not. Not anymore. This isn't a situation where a player might be ready. Shedeur is ready. And every time the Browns coaching staff chooses fear over trust, it's a slap in the face. Not just to him, but to the entire future of the franchise. Because you can feel it building. That tension between potential and reality. Between what's possible and what's being allowed. This isn't just about one player being held back. It's about what happens when a coaching philosophy becomes a chokehold. It's about fear of being wrong. Fear of admitting you were late to the party. Fear that if you give a kid a real chance and he balls out, everyone will know you had the answer sitting on the bench this whole time. And that's the part they don't want to face. Because let's be honest, if Shedeur goes off, if he takes over and starts winning games, what does that say about the decisions that kept him sidelined in the first place? What does that say about the process coaches love to hide behind? It blows the whole thing up. And that, not his readiness, not his skill, is the real issue. It's politics. It's hierarchy. It's the age-old story of the new kid being too good too fast and making the veterans look bad. So instead of adjusting the system to fit him, they try to fit him into the system, which is hilarious because the system clearly isn't working. And that's why fans are losing patience. Because this is a player who's done everything right. He's put in the work. He's shown up. He's played smart, tough football. He's earned trust the hard way. And yet, every week we get some version of he's not ready yet, or we have a plan for him, or the worst one, we like what we're seeing in practice. Cool, but practice isn't the problem. The problem is the games, the decisions, the refusal to pivot. And don't even get started on Kyle Shanahan pretending he barely knows who Shedeur is. Really? You're one of the most detail-obsessed coaches in the league. And you're going to sit there and act like you haven't studied the tape? You think we don't see through that? Come on. If opposing coaches are preparing for him, you've definitely watched the film. You just don't want to say it out loud. Because acknowledging him means admitting you see the threat. And that's the quiet part they don't want to say. Because once you admit that Shedeur Sanders is that guy, the pressure shifts. You have to adapt. You have to take risks. You have to hand the keys over and trust that your game plan might not be the best one in the room anymore. And if there's one thing these coaches don't want to give up, it's control. But let's look at what that control has gotten them. Missed opportunities, frustrated fan bases, a locker room full of players who can see with their own eyes who's balling out and who's being boxed in. You think players don't notice that stuff? They do. And it affects everything, from morale to execution to buy-in. When your team sees that production isn't being rewarded, it sends a message. Don't stand out. Don't challenge the system. Don't be too good too soon, or you'll get benched for being unconventional. It's backwards. It's tired. And it's exactly how you lose a generation of players. Because players like Shedeur, they're not waiting around for 5-year development plans. They're ready now. And if you're not going to build around them, someone else will. And let's talk about those someone else's. Because you know there are teams already watching this unfold, thinking, let them keep holding him back. We'll be ready when it falls apart. There are franchises who will roll the dice, who will let him play free, who won't need 5 weeks of film and 12 coaching meetings to realize what's right in front of them. Because the thing is, quarterbacks like Shedeur are rare. You don't just find a player with his instincts, his pocket awareness, his vision, and that killer instinct to take over in crunch time. And when you do find one, you don't bury them under a playbook. You give them the ball and get out of the way. And that's what makes this all so frustrating. The league knows what's coming. The defenses are adjusting. The media is paying attention. Fans are yelling at their TVs. Everyone can see it, except the guys who are supposed to be in charge. Stefanski, still playing it safe, still acting like we're one game away from him, opening up the offense. Shanahan, too busy talking in circles to admit that the game is changing right in front of him. And when it all inevitably flips, when Shedeur takes over and the numbers start rolling in and the wins follow, those same coaches will be the ones saying, we always believed in him. Sure you did. It's the classic playbook. Downplay the star until it's undeniable, then act like it was part of the master plan all along. But we remember the dodge questions, the weird rotations, the bizarre refusal to give credit where it's due, the empty praise that felt more like lip service than leadership. And we won't forget who had him and held him back. This is bigger than one season. It's about what kind of team you want to be. Do you want to be the team that empowers its talent, adapts, and moves forward? Or do you want to be the one clinging to outdated schemes while your future QB watches from the sideline? Because one of those teams is going to playoffs. The other? Just try and explain why they let their best chance slip away. So let's not sugarcoat it. Shedeur's time isn't next year. It isn't after more development. It's right now. You want wins? Let him lead. You want energy in the locker room? Let him play. You want a franchise quarterback who can make plays that rewrite the game plan on the fly? Let him go. But until the coaches take the handcuffs off, we're going to be stuck in this loop. Week after week of missed chances, of potential being benched, of conservative decisions that make zero sense in a league built on boldness. So here's the challenge for the Browns. Speaking for Shanahan, for anyone still doubting. Do you want to be remembered as the coach who nurtured a star, or the one who wasted one? Because one thing's for sure, Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting around forever. At some point, you have to ask, how much more proof do they need? Because Shedeur isn't just showing flashes. This isn't one of those he looked decent in garbage time situations. He's been consistent. Every snap, every drive, every read. He looks composed, locked in, and more importantly, ready. That's the word people keep dancing around, ready. He's not raw. He's not untested. And he's definitely not someone who needs to sit and learn behind a less talented starter. And yet, here we are, watching him get treated like a backup in a league that's starving for quarterback talent. Think about it. Teams are out here trotting out practice squad guys and retreads while Shedeur Sanders, one of the most promising young quarterbacks in the game, is standing on the sideline because his own coaches don't have the guts to pull the trigger. Why? Because the system said so? Newsflash! The system is broken. It's so broken that coaches are more worried about looking wrong than doing what's right. And what's right is letting Shedeur lead. What's right is trusting what you see on the field, instead of hiding behind schemes and outdated philosophies. But that's the trap. Coaches like Stefanski and Shanahan have spent years crafting these systems that are supposed to be bigger than any one player. Plug and play. Next man up. Trust the process. But when you get someone who doesn't just fit the system, but outgrows it, you either evolve or you get left behind. And guess what? They're getting left behind. Because Shedeur isn't just another young quarterback trying to find his footing. He's part of this new wave. The modern quarterback prototype. Mobile, accurate, calm under pressure, deadly on the move. And most importantly, he knows how to win. That kind of presence is rare. You don't coach that. You either have it or you don't. And Shedeur has it. You can feel it when he steps on the field. The energy shifts. The offense comes alive. He's not playing scared. He's not trying to avoid mistakes. He's trying to make plays. He's out there trying to win. And the most frustrating part? The moment he starts to get a rhythm, he's reined in again. Back to the sideline. Back to the headset. Back to a clipboard, while someone else runs 3-yard outs and handoffs into stacked boxes. It's a masterclass in missed opportunity. And it's not like the excuses are holding up. At first it was, he needs more time to develop. Then it was, we're easing him in. Now it's just silence. Or worse. Coaches pretending they don't know what fans are talking about. Acting confused when asked why Shedeur isn't the guy. Let's be honest. They know exactly what they're doing. They just don't want to admit they're scared. Scared that they hand the offense to him. It'll expose how rigid and outdated their systems really are. That Shedeur's success might not come because of their coaching, but in spite of it, that's what's really eating at them. It's not that they don't think he's good. It's that they know he's too good to keep a lid on. Once you let him off the leash, you can't go back. You can't pretend he was ever just a developmental guy. You can't put him back in the box. And for coaches who like full control, that's terrifying. At some point, the game will force their hand. Because the longer they wait, the louder the calls get. The media isn't buying the excuses. The fans are already fed up. And the rest of the league? They're watching closely. You think teams like the 49ers are ignoring this? No, they're preparing. Because they know that when Shedeur gets the green light, they're going to have to deal with a quarterback who's not just talented, but angry, motivated, ready to prove every coach who doubted him dead wrong. When that moment comes, it's going to be undeniable. The tape will speak for itself. The numbers will pile up. The wins will come. And the very same coaches who kept dodging questions and downplaying his impact will be the ones trying to rewrite history. But we'll remember. We'll remember who held him back, who hesitated, who refused to adjust while everyone else evolved. And more importantly, Shedeur will remember. So yeah, this isn't just about football. It's about pride. It's about ego. It's about coaches too scared to admit that maybe the game passed them by. And a new era has already arrived. And leading that era is Shedeur Sanders. So if you're with us, if you're tired of seeing raw talent get wasted by cautious coaching, drop a comment. Let us know how you think this should be handled. Should the Browns finally hand Shedeur the keys? Should Stefanski and Shanahan stop pretending they don't see what's right in front of them? Like this video. Share it with someone still making excuses. And subscribe for more drama, more breakdowns, and more moments where we call it exactly how it is. Because what's happening here, it's not development. It's sabotage. And Shedeur deserves better.